Oh, well, what a week 10 that was. Just amazing. Although the icing on this very insane week 10 cake, which had a theme of WTF, not WFT, I'll talk about them later, but the icing on the week 10 cake just had to be what happened in Pittsburgh. So the Lions' losing streak is over, but it's a tie. Yeah. hmm Um, I do love ties. They're rare, and they kind of mess up the standings a bit. But this tie was preventable, more so on Pittsburgh's side than Detroit's. I mean, Detroit had their chances, but Pittsburgh, what were they doing? Especially that last play, 15 seconds left. Rudolph, yes, Rudolph was in there because Big Ben tested positive for COVID, and so Mace Rudolph was in there, and the last play of overtime, their last play of overtime, 15 seconds left. He tossed it to Pat Freiermuth. He catches it, then he coughs it up. And I saw this. I remember I saw the highlights of this thing, and I saw this. I went, oh my God, seriously? So they fumbled it. With 8 seconds left, the Lions recovered, and that's it. It's gonna be a tie. Only thing to keep it alive is they get a playoff, they connect, and a defensive penalty happens, but that didn't happen. So 16-16 was the final score. It's the first tie it's the first tie in the NFL since the Bengals and the Eagles played to a draw on Week 3 last year. Um, and Of course, for Detroit, it's their first tie since the 2019 season, Week 1, which was previously the last time they went to overtime. So as a result, like I said, the losing streak's over, but it's now a winless streak. They still have not won a game since December 6, 2020, against the Bears in Chicago. See how pathetic the Bears are. Um, but the tie does two things. One, it gives the Lions a win percentage for the first time this season, and two, it eliminates 0-17. There will not be an 0-17 this year, but there could still be an 0-16-1. Now, wouldn't that be something? And as for Pittsburgh, oh boy. I don't care if Big Ben was out. They still should have beaten. They still should have beaten the bejesus out of the Lions. They should have done. They should have done what Dallas did to Atlanta this week, 43-3. My goodness, what a blowout win. But yeah. So as a result, Baltimore's still alone in first place in the AFC North, but now it's a half game lead. And Ravens and Steelers have yet to play each other. The Ravens and Steelers have yet to play each other this year, which is strange because usually one of those games happens already around week, I'm gonna say like 5, 6, 7. We're at week 10, heading into week 11. They still have not played each other. Matter of fact, I just googled it. Baltimore Pittsburgh's first meeting this year is on December 5th, which means something to me for two reasons. Number one, it's the Packers bye, and number two, in the Canadian Football League, that's the Eastern final between the Argonauts and the Toronto Argonauts and whoever. Go Argos. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So yeah, we had that, and we had a great return. Cam Newton's back, and he's back with the Panthers, which is even better. And the first points scored by the Panthers were provided by him. He ran it in, and he was so happy. He shouted, "I'm back! I'm back!" I watched that video over and over. I loved it so much because I'm a fan of Cam Newton. I like him. I think he's egregiously underrated. Because let's face it, he was an upgrade. When New England got him, it was an upgrade. The guy's better than Brady, and it sucked that he was out of a job. A quarterback this good, out of a job. But yet, there he was, and Carolina came caller, come back, and he's back with the Panthers, and he's He was so happy to be back. And of course, they blew out the Cardinals, who were again without DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. 34-10 was the final score, and that was good news for us because the Packers won an ugly game, 17-0 over the Seattle Seahawks. It's our first shutout win in 3 years, and speaking of shutouts, it's the first time since September 18, 2011 that the Seahawks were playing, which obviously means that it's for the first time ever Russell Wilson got shut out. It was ugly. It was quite an ugly game. I mean, the game saw both starting quarterbacks return. Rodgers was back, and Russell was back. Russell was back from his injury, and Rodgers was back from his positive test. And they kind of had to get used to being back in, and it was kind of a mess. And I actually wrote this in my story about Week 10, which will be in the description below this video. It's still staying with me. Tony Romo kept saying, while doing the game, it was on CBS, and Tony Romo kept saying, "Well, Russell Wilson's kind of rusty." To me, that implies that the bad offense was his fault. If they had scored like 3 or 7, yeah, they got shut out. It takes a complete team effort to do absolutely nothing on offense. I saw this whole thing. Russ wasn't himself. He threw 2 picks in the end zone. He wasn't himself. The running game was non-existent, and Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf weren't factors. In fact, DK was too busy grabbing face masks at the near end of the game. He got ejected for. He actually tried to get back in, if you can believe that. But yeah, he got ejected. I'm still surprised he hasn't been fined yet. Not suspended. That's not suspendable. But I'm still surprised he hasn't had to write a check or something. But that's definitely finable. But it'll probably pop up. But anyway, so yeah, good win by the Packers. Get back on track. We're number 1 in the conference again, and hopefully we'll stay up there and do something with it. But so what else took place in this Week 10? Yes, the Patriots are still winning. They just beat down the Browns, and it's amazing. New England's good, and I'm happy that New England's good because it seems pure. As the Undertaker once said in the promo, it's pure. There's no controversy. There's no douchebag names, i.e. Brady. It's good old Yankee ingenuity at work here. It's the old-fashioned way. It's good, clean playing. So New England's good again. They're pretty much playoff bound. It looks like they are. And they're right behind the Bills. And the Bills got back on track. They blew out the Jets, which everybody does. So yeah. And again, the Bills and Patriots have not played each other yet. That first game is going to be very interesting when it does happen. And I mentioned the Browns. They had that Odell saga is over. He's now in LA, and that's kind of pissed off a lot of Packer fans. Myself included, but I'm over it. But it was a bad day in the office for the Rams. It really was. The Monday night game. The Rams were just badly outplayed. It was a complete mess. Odell Beckham only had 2 receptions for 18 yards. That's nothing. That is literally nothing. Even in fantasy leagues, and point per reception leagues, if it's a full point, that's still 3.8 points. Kickers get more than that when they make 40, 50-yard field goals. That's not good. The Rams are a complete mess. That's back-to-back losses now. That is back-to-back losses. They are now 1 behind Arizona in the NFC West. Well, technically 2 because Arizona beat them. So yeah, it's bad for the Rams, but they're still playoff bound. But as far as the division, if they don't play better, they can forget about finishing first in that NFC West. And speed of, and on the flip side, how about the Titans? They're 2-0 without King Henry. The Chiefs, they could be back. They had a big statement win in Vegas against the Raiders, and they're back in first place. And that's something that AFC West is completely crowded because you have uh, 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 um, the Chiefs at 6-4 leading, the Chargers and the Chargers and the Raiders are 5-4. Denver's 5-5 in the bottom of the division. It's anybody's division. It is, and that's just it's just a wild division. But 10 weeks are done. The first week of the second half is over, and here's the standings in front of me. Tennessee, they have a big lead. Tennessee's up by a game and a half for number one in the conference. They're 8-2. Buffalo and Baltimore are 6-3. Kansas City 6-4. The wild card teams: Pittsburgh at 5-3-1. New England 6-4. The Chargers are 5-4. Chargers, you should have blown out the Vikings. Everybody else does. We'll show you how it's done Sunday. Raiders, Bengals 5-4. Yeah, the Bengals are kind of falling a bit. So are the Browns, badly. However, the Colts are kind of moving up. They were 1-4. Now they're 5-5. They have an outside shot. The NFC, we're number one at the moment. Arizona's also 8-2, but that win is why we're number one. Dallas improves to 7-2. Tampa. Let me just say something about Brady. This was the second week he was without Gronk and AB. Any Peanuts fans out there ever seen Linus without his blue blanket? It's a terrible thing when Linus without his blue blanket. I've seen the Peanuts a lot of times. He's a shivering mess. Multiply that by 1,000, you have Tom Brady without his targets. He couldn't beat Washington without AB and Gronk. He couldn't beat Washington without them. Yet he's the GOAT. Yeah, sure he is. So, but yeah, Tampa's still in first place because New Orleans fell short against Tennessee. So Tampa has the number 4 seed. The Rams are 5 at 7-3. New Orleans and Carolina. Carolina's in playoff position now. How about that? They're ahead of the Vikings, the 49ers, and the Falcons, who are all each 4-5. Philadelphia's 4-6. They have an outside shot. It's a crowded league this year. It's going to be a fun final, 8 weeks of the season now? Because it's 17 games, it's 18 weeks. So it's going to be a fun final 8 weeks. And it all starts tomorrow. Falcons host the Patriots. Expect the Braves there, because that'll be the Falcons' first home game since the Braves won the World Series. So I expect to see Freddie Freeman and Jorge Soler and Dansby Swanson, and especially Jock Peters. I hope to see him celebrate that championship. That's going to be a big moment. I mentioned the Eagles have an outside shot. They're playing the Saints this Sunday. Cam's first home game back with the Panthers. And how fitting, it's against Washington, against his old coach, Ron Rivera. Of course, a lot of fans thought Washington would be the team to sign Cam, but that didn't happen. The Lions haven't lost in 2 weeks. Can they make it 3? Of course, the first week was because they were on a bye. But can they make it 3 as they face the Browns? They're in Cleveland. The 2 hard luck teams in history going at it. Packers are in Minnesota. The Niners are in Jacksonville. The Ravens are in Chicago facing the Bears, so that's another bye week for Baltimore. The Chiefs host the Cowboys. Sunday Night Football is Steelers and Chargers. That's going to be good. It always is lately when those two face each other. And, of course, Monday Night Football, Buccaneers and Giants. Will it be 3 straight losses for the Brady Bucks? So, that's my recap of Week 10. If you like this video, click the like button. Click subscribe if you want more. Again, my story on Vocal about Week 10 is in the description below, so check it out. Check it out if you can. And I'll be back next week to recap Week 11, which is the final week in football before Turkey Day. God, I can't wait for Thanksgiving. So stay tuned.